QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022 OneNote Presentations, Enter Service Items. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. If you have access to OneNote, would like to follow along, icon, left-hand side, topic, introductions, 6260, Enter Service Items. Also take a look at the Immersive Reader tool, topic, introductions, also in the text area, same name, same number, but with transcripts. Transcripts that can be translated into multiple languages, either listened to or read in them. Same name and number as presentations as well. Topic introductions designed to give an introduction to the topic, provide screenshots, links where applicable, accounting background to complement the presentations, and you can also use them to follow along with the presentations if you don't have access to QuickBooks at that time. Closing the icon on the left-hand side, we're looking at the service items. Service items are going to be the items that will be needed when you populate things such as invoices and the sales receipts, which represent us selling services but not goods. In other words, inventory will not be tracked with the service items to customers. This will be the precursor to us thinking about entering the inventory items, which will be a little bit more complex. If we go into an invoice here, the item is on the left-hand side. That's what we would then populate in order to create our invoice. It's what makes the invoice as easy as possible to populate. The better the item's set up, the easier it is to delegate the issuance of the invoice or the data input to somebody else. Notice that the service items do not represent any balance on the trial balance, but it's a precursor to what we will need to be doing with the inventory items, which will represent items that we currently have on hand that will show then this beginning balance on the trial balance as well as the support of it with regards to the subsidiary ledger, breaking the information out by inventory units. We're going to put this information for the service items into an Excel worksheet and then try to copy and paste them in. That's the quickest way to do it. You could add them one at a time into the system, but that's a little bit slower if you're starting out and you have a lot of items that you already have set up. Might be the easiest thing to put them into Excel, or if you have them in some other accounting system, to download them to Excel. We're going to go to the Lists drop-down, Item List. All we have in there thus far are the items for the sales tax. And so then we're going to go into the Chart of Accounts and look at the Chart of Accounts here. We're looking at the income item down below because as we add the items, we want to know which income account we'll be going to when we create the invoice. Sales often represents the inventory item. So if we have these service items, we might want to set up a new account, which you can go to the account, rise up down here, and then add a new account, which will be an income account, which we're going to call income type of account and service revenue, as opposed to sales, which is where we will put our sales that will have inventory related to them. So then we have our information down here set up for the sales tax. We're then going to go back to our items. This is the layout to add multiple items. So we went to the items here. Instead of having one item at a time, we went to multiple items. So we want to add multiple items, this one right there. And that gives us this list, which gives us our breakdown down below. Now these headers down below are what we are going to have to match up with our data input, and we can just copy and paste from Excel then if we have the data in Excel or some other spreadsheet program. We can go to the Customize Columns up top, which gives us this layout, which we can add the items on the left-hand side. We can remove them, move up, move down, and these vertical items will be tied out to the header items over here. Once we get these lined up to what is in our Excel sheet, we can then adjust it so that we now have the item name, sales description, sales price, income, sales tax code. Those are now our headers across the worksheet. Those line up to our Excel worksheet, so now we can copy and paste. Going back to an Excel, just copying and pasting our items in place. This is the name, the sales description, the sales price that we haven't copied in yet, and the income account, which we're going to have to add. We then copied the sales price in. I don't know why we didn't do it all at one time, but you could do it multiple times if you want. And there we have it. Then if we say save those changes, now in our items list, we have these service items that have been set up over here as well. If we go then and take a look at one of them individually, meaning we're going to go into one and edit it right here, Then we're going to see now it's a service item up top as opposed to an inventory item. And the diagnostic is here. This is how you would see it individually as opposed to the multiple data input screen where we added multiple items at a time. Then you got the rate, the tax code, it's non-taxable, and it's going to service revenue. Now when I add an invoice, which we're not actually going to do here, but just check it out, we can add that service item, which populates the invoice. And again, the easier the items are to use, the easier the data input will be, the easier your billing process will be, or the easier it will be to allocate to someone else to do the data input with relation to the service item sales. Next time, we'll move on to the inventory items, which have a substantial level of complexity and will have a beginning balance we will enter in with it.